Hey everyone, this is Omar here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. So today I'm actually going to be talking about how I like to approach callouts. By callout, I mean that whenever you're done making a character, you need to show what that character looks like from like a front view, side view, back view, also the little parts of the body that the 3D modelers might need when they're modeling stuff in 3D. But before any of that, I usually start off with some thumbnails. And here, as you can see, I mostly just use the brush tool right here, and then I turn on the symmetry, and then I just started drawing. And it's a very quick way to like generate some quick ideas and stuff. I think I'm erasing right now, but anyways, you get the point. But after I'm done with this, and it's a very rough pass that I do at first, nothing super crazy. But after I do my first thumbnail pass, then I go to my second pass where I sort of like pose my character as well. And then here I can now either just go with one design or just pick and choose from 3 different designs. And then when I put it all together, I end up with a design like that. Now I can polish this design even more, but I just decided to stop at this point because it was taking a lot of time. But then after this point, I wanted to do a sheet where I wanted to show, okay, what would this person look like from a front view, side view, back view, and what would his sword look like when it's not radiating this energy. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoy this video, and make sure you like, subscribe, and follow this account for more videos, and I do upload every Friday, so stay tuned. Okay, so the very first thing that I do is that I Google some references. And for this one, I first wrote male turnaround sheet poses. That way I made sure that when I'm drawing, it looks like everything is within proportion and nothing looks off. And so it's very important you do that, because if you just try to eyeball, the anatomy and the proportion, this is gonna look messy and weird. But after I'm done blocking out just the shape of the body and like the proportion and everything, I then start referring to my design, which is on the left side. And then I just start thinking about, okay, how would this person look like in the front view? How would his armor wrap around his body? And how would his boots look like? So it's just a matter of just, really training your mind and your eyes to see, and just have that thing where you can just rotate the character in your head and just do it. And that's something that's really hard. I mean, I had a really tough time with this as well. And it's also one of the reasons why I went with the very mainstream looking generic design for this. I mean, I didn't go super crazy. I'm not sure if any one of you have noticed, but the inspiration for the helmet came from Cell from Dragon Ball Z. And it was very subconsciously just came out of nowhere. But yeah, after I was done with the front view, I just copy pasted it, and then I just erased away parts where I kind of added like some more straps and stuff like that to show his back position. And the really cool thing about doing orthographic drawings, is that you can just use the symmetry tool to block out your major shapes. It saves so much time, and I absolutely love it. So and if you notice that I'm still keeping everything like really loose, I'm not really worried about the line work or anything. But even for the back view, since he had a cape, I decided to make a separate drawing for the cape and a separate drawing without the cape, so that I can show what his body looks like from the back. Because you don't know, maybe he's not wearing the cape at all times. Maybe he takes it off or something. One thing that I struggled with a lot was the side view, because I just honestly suck at side poses because I haven't drawn them as much. It's just something that I feel like I'll get better at once I keep drawing them more. And side views are kind of tricky as well, especially with the Polyron, because I did not know how I would wrap around his arm, but somehow I just figured it out. But moving on, so after I was done with my sketch, I decided to do some clean line work. And it's just a matter of style at this point. I mean, if I wanted to, I could have I could have even skipped a line art part and just like rendered everything from scratch. But I feel like it kind of defeats the purpose of orthographic drawings, because if you render everything out from the beginning, it gets really hard to understand the parts of the body and the different elements on the body, especially if your concept is going over to like a different department, like a 3D modeling department, and then they have to make everything in 3D. And if stuff is not clear, then they're going to have a hard time figuring it out. And so right now, since I had a good sketch laid out, I was just going really quickly again with the symmetry tool on, and I started doing my clean line work. And I was also playing around quite a bit with my line weight as well, making it thicker on some parts and thinner on other parts. It's just a little thing that kind of makes your drawing a little bit more, makes it look a little bit more 3D. So here I'm literally just tracing over my sketch. The only difference is that, you know, when I'm sketching out, I have like really rough lines, and then, you know, the line art pass, I'm just trying to make sure I get all of my lines down in one single stroke. And here I'm also making sure that I'm turning my symmetry off and on at times. So usually I'll just the stuff that's like completely the same on both sides, I'll draw that out first, and then like the little things that are different, then I'll turn my symmetry off and then draw those. Like for example, the straps on his legs. In one leg he has one strap, and on the other leg he has two straps. And then also for like the folds on the shirt and the legs, I turn the symmetry off as well, just to show that, okay, he won't have the exact same creases on both sides of his body. And then there was a side view as well. And once again, the side view was kind of hard for me, but I felt like I kind of figured it out. Maybe now when I look at it after making this, I kind of feel like I made his head a little bit bigger, but it's nothing super major. So if stuff like this does happen while you're drawing, you can overlook it unless someone tells you to fix it. But the one thing that I also realized is that when I was drawing those chest plates that he had, I wanted to show that it was kind of bulky, so I had to like exaggerate that part a little bit more. And from here, it's a no-brainer, honestly. That's why, you know, I feel like you should spend most of your time doing your sketch part and make sure your anatomy and your proportions are correct, because if you get your base correct, your initial sketch correct, it literally does 90% of the work. Like, I kid you not, because at this point nothing can really go super wrong, you know. Because even if you do mess up your line work, you do have a good solid base, a good solid foundation with your sketch. So it's just a matter of spending the time doing your sketch. And that's the one thing that a lot of people overlook, because they want to just quickly sketch stuff out and then, you know, move over to your line art. And then when you move to your line art, it doesn't look right because the sketch was weird. But anyways, so after I was done with my sketch, I started adding my flat colors. Now at this part, I like to first block out a silhouette. It just makes it easier when I'm adding colors while making selections. I use the lasso tool quite a lot when adding colors. I know initially when I was new to Photoshop, I used to like paint in all the colors, but I realized that takes a lot of time. And yeah, using the lasso tool, once you get used to it, it's a lot of fun to use. One thing I did notice that using the lasso tool is a lot easier when you do have like a screen display tablet. When you have like one of those, you know, basic graphics tablet, it don't have like a display screen, it gets really hard to use the lasso tool. But I definitely encourage you guys to use lasso, because you can just like make selection and literally just fill color in. So after I'm done with my gray base tone, I hide that and then I start making new layers. And if you hold control on your keyboard, control or command if it's Mac, and you click on the thumbnail of your layer, it makes a selection around everything in that layer. And so it makes it easier to add colors without having to worry the color exiting the body, if that makes sense. But I had like every single color. Usually when I'm working on flat colors, I tend to keep them separate on separate layers. It's just it's easier that way, in the sense that if you change your mind and if you're trying to change your color, you can easily pull up the hue saturation slider and just change your color without affecting the other colors on the body. That makes sense. But here it was, if you guys remember the final illustration that I showed you guys at the beginning of the video, he was in like more of a deserted area where there's a lot of sand and stuff. So the first thing that came to my mind were colors like, you know, dark green and blue. It's not final, it's just something that I just personally liked. I kind of like the contrast between the two colors, so I just went with it. But yeah, from here on now, it's just simple adding color to the whole thing. And you guys will see me always going back and forth between the lasso tool and the paintbrush tool. And by the way, when it comes to using brushes, the kind of brush that I use when I'm adding my flat colors is just the basic, I think it's called the hard round pressure size brush. And because you don't really need any fancy texture brushes for this, honestly. But I will put a link to all the brushes in the description of my video. I do put links to all of my brushes in every video, so go ahead and definitely check them out. Now these brushes, they are not my own brushes. These are just brushes from other artists from the internet that I got, and these are just amazing. They get the job done. So definitely check them out. It'll just save you a lot of time instead of making your own brushes. Highly recommend you guys check that out as well, on how you can make your own brushes. That way it'll just help you understand how brushes work. And I'm also using a lot of shortcuts. So the good thing about having it on a separate layer as well is that now I can just copy paste that layer and then just clean it up for like the back view, and then I can do the same thing for like the pants and everything as well. So having separate colors on layers is definitely very time saving. So yeah, hope you guys like this video. I know this drawing up here is just something that I'm doing for the first time as well personally, and so I had a lot of fun doing it. And I also realized that there's so much that I don't know, but I just felt like the stuff that I did learn from this video, I might as well just share it with you guys as well. And this is just the beginning. I mean, if you go to ArtStation and just look for character concept art, you'll see people doing all kinds of crazy call out sheets. It's because the one thing to understand is that just making pretty images isn't gonna cut it. Like, you need to show your thinking process. You need to show the function of this person. Like, why is he wearing all this armor? What's the purpose of all this armor? Why is it there? What's it gonna protect? If he has any weapons, okay, why does he have that weapon? Where is he gonna put it? In fact, when I was done with this design, I realized that, holy shit, where is he gonna like put away his sword? Is he just gonna be holding it in his hand? I didn't like create anything. Usually they have like, either it's like wrapped around their back, or there's this thing that's around its belt, but I totally forgot about that. So you start thinking about the functionality, and that's the fun part about concept art. And many people like mistake concept art with illustration, and that's where things get a little confusing. So always remember, concept art is designing. You're designing characters, you're showing your thinking process. And for the sword, I had like a simple design on the first drawing, and for the second one I kind of like showed that energy thing coming out of his sword. I'm not sure what exactly it is, but I just try to make it as cool as possible. So yeah, so this is what I ended up with in the end, and as you can see, it looks really clean, and I just went with really simple designs. I did not add any shadow or anything. Now if I wanted to, I could have done that, but I chose not to do it at this point. Maybe I'm just lazy, I don't know. But there are multiple ways, there are multiple approaches you can take. I mean, maybe like in the future, instead of doing a front, side, and back, I can just do like two fully rendered 3/4 poses, like a front pose and a back pose. For me personally, doing a 3/4 back pose is really hard because I'm not used to drawing those. So I kind of felt like, okay, let me just stay within my comfort zone for this one. And then once I get used to this way of doing callouts, then I'll probably explore the other options. But anyways, I appreciate you guys sticking around and watching this video. Hopefully you learned a thing or two from this. If you did learn something, hit the subscribe button and follow me on Instagram and TikTok is where I'm like active the most. I do have Twitter and Facebook, but I barely use those. But yeah, thank you for watching this video, and check out my previous videos, and also subscribe me by clicking on this icon, and I will see you guys in the next one.